I just made these felt birds because I'm going to sew them onto a larger project. I like these little woodland birds. I wanted them semi-scientifically accurate, but I was having a really hard time finding a good pattern on Etsy. Most of them were like 2D. Eventually, I purchased this pattern knowing I would just make some alterations for some other kinds of birds. And for the first bird, I decided to just follow the pattern exactly, except of course changing the colors to yellow. Now, if you were to make these birds, you would just cut out the pattern and use it as a template, but I needed to keep this paper intact so that I could make some alterations on it later, so I used my light table. I used Sharpie colors that I thought wouldn't be too visible along the edges, and I kept the footage in because I just thought it looked really satisfying. And of course, I did that black Sharpie earlier to make the lines much more visible. In my house, we are lovers of birds, so I picked 4 of my favorite species of birds, plus this one, which is just yellow. And it's mostly because I needed to follow this pattern at least once exactly correctly, and also I thought that the yellow would add a nice pop for the color scheme. These birds are made of primarily 3 different pieces to make them 3D, and I matched all of my thread colors to the felt as exactly as I could, and got along with sewing the 2 stomachs together with the blanket stitch. The instructions have you sew the tummy all up and then open it up and lay it down and pin exactly in the spots that will align your bird. The wings on the tummy piece are cut a little shorter, and I really like that because then it gives a little bit more detail when viewed from the bottom. The pattern also has you sew up a couple of extra bits where there might be a pocket otherwise. My birds will not be seen from the top in their final application, so that is how I decided what colors and what kind of stitching to put where. The strangest part of the pattern is probably when you have to sew the wings closed. You don't want the stuffing migrating into the wings, so you sew a nice line along the tummy of the bird, and then you stuff it from the only remaining spot, the tail. Once you sew the tail closed, then you can move on to the face, and I usually use my pins to rough out the placement of the eyes. And when I use black pins, it's an even better representation. The face on the little creatures can really affect their personality even from afar. And because they're being viewed from afar, I'm hoping that that will compensate for any of the detailed handiwork and fuzziness of the felt that I used. This pattern is pretty simple, and once I ran through it once, I was sure that I could handle it and understand enough to go ahead and make some alterations, perhaps even to the body shape, for my next couple of birds.